Hi everyone and welcome to the Haunted Connection show. So I hope you're all doing okay. We're bringing this to you from the Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre in Hinckley, Leicester. And as usual, it's me and Neil. And tonight we have our lovely guest, Kate Cherrell. Hi, Kate.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah, so what we're doing, running up to the ParaMeet, because as you all know, the ParaMeet is at the end of the month. And we are our guest speakers, we're getting our guest speakers to come along and just have a chat with us and tell us a little bit about themselves and what they're going to be talking about at the ParaMeet. So while Neil is sharing stuff out,
I'm not being ignorant.
For anybody who doesn't know you, which I would think would be a very few people, for anybody who doesn't know you, do you want to just give us a bit of an introduction and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, of course. Oh, you do flatter. Well, my name's Kate Cherrell or Kate Cherrell, depending on who you ask, if I'm feeling fancy or not. I'm a writer, a paranormal historian. I've done telly with Discovery, so I'm kind of all over the history of the paranormal. I'm frequently under my banner of Burials and Beyond, where I write about life, death, and the weird bits in between. So I'm usually either in a haunted location or a churchyard looking for weird-looking Jesus-y bits or ghosts. So, and when I'm not doing that, I'm podcasting with Ian Boldsworth, and we do a podcast called Loopholes, which is a very light-hearted, sideways look at the esoteric and the paranormal, because we can all get very, very bogged down in research and how terribly serious all of this ghost business is, whereas in reality it is all a bit silly. So that's me in a nutshell.
Humor, don't you? You do need a sense of humour being in the paranormal field.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if you sat in the dark with a group of people in matching outfits for 6.5 hours, you've got to have a laugh or you'll just go mad, won't you?
And you do find yourself in the weirdest places, don't you? Because a lot of people think it's quite glamorous when you're just walking around nice big houses with your torches and stuff like that. You don't get to see the bit where you're sitting in the damp cellar for hours, or you're sitting in a dusty attic for hours. And
completely.
You can end up anywhere, can't you, really, when you're doing this line of work?
Yeah, I think that's the joy of Facebook and Instagram. Well, social media, really. We can get those little snapshots of everyone looking really cheery with like REM pod in hand, everyone's best of friends, and then really at the end of the night they are in the basement ripping each other's hair out. So.
Yeah. Okay, Karen's made a couple of comments. She says, Kate is a darling.
Very nice, very kind.
Or jumping out of her skin, investigating with me, evil laugh.
Yes, I like to think of myself as quite a reasoned, rational investigator, and so I'm also quite a tired investigator. I'm not one of the people hanging out till like 3 a.m. I'm in bed with my cocoa by then. But on a few investigations where I've tried to be very cool, calm, and collected, I've tried to defend myself against the powers of evil with some very rudimentary kung fu, which has entertained. Completely inadvertent. It's incredibly painful to watch. So it's happened on a couple of occasions. Yeah.
Okay, there. Graham says, hello, not long to wait now. It's only 2 weeks on Saturday.
Oh, crikey. Right, it's creeping up, isn't it?
Have you got your talk ready, Kate?
Well, that would be telling. But I can say that I'm doing a talk that is unlike anything I've done before, which I think is quite a fun thing to approach it. I won't come out in full tap dancing gear or anything, but something that's a bit more lighthearted and inclusive. So I keep threatening to do a full talk on ectoplasm, but I think I'll save that for the ParaMeet after dark when I can really get into things.
Okay, then Karen says, Kate Cherrell, tell them about our new documentary about John Horwood.
Oh, right. Okay. She's keen. She's keen. Corinne and I and a few other people are working on. It's been kind of in the mix for quite a long time. We're working on this documentary and book project. It will be a long time coming, but it's a really interesting case where. Have you heard of books bound in human skin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully everyone who's watching has had their tea by now. But in the M Shed in Bristol has one of these books, and this book tells the story of the trial and the execution of this man called John Horwood. And to cut a long story short, John was tried for murder because it was said that his advances were spurned by this woman called Eliza, and in response, he was very angry lad, and he threw a stone at Eliza. And at the time, they believed that it was this stone that ultimately led to her death several days later.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now, with the privilege of medical history and increased knowledge as to how the human body reacts to certain treatments that were commonplace at the time, we now know that this probably wasn't the cause of Eliza's death. But back then, John was tried, he was executed at Bristol Old Jail, and then as a further punishment, his body was used to bind a copy of his trial, and then his skeleton was kept within a doctor's private collection and then a university for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And this skeleton was then, well, how many years ago? I think it was 2016-ish, was brought out of the university's medical collection and was buried and given a full Christian burial many years later.
Mm.
And so now we're working with these little snippets, these interesting bits of medical history, of supposed, well, dark history, lots of interesting things to knit it together and find the real story of who actually killed Eliza. And the medical records point to someone who you really wouldn't expect, and someone who was celebrated in Bristol history for a long time. So it's a very engrossing and it's a very interesting project, but my God, it is not a cheery one.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds gory and sounds cool.
It is. It's fascinating. Well, every time you're dealing with the, crime and
technology is now, it's that advanced, isn't it? Where you can actually go back now and redo some of these crimes. One that really interested me, was it John Christie? Was it Christie who I'm not sure if I've got his name right, but he allegedly murdered his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, I think, executed. But now with modern day technology, and they've done the DNA and they've done everything else, they actually found on a shipping list his wife had actually ran away to America, and the bones.
Oh, really?
This was all kept. The bones in the fireplace were of an animal, not of his wife. He thought he'd burnt her in the fireplace. So it's amazing how many people were actually tried and executed wrongly.
Yeah, absolutely. And you sort of feel like you want to do right by them in a way, and at least tell the full story.
Yeah, but it's fascinating how we can now go back and revisit these crimes and actually prove the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Clear some names and bring a bit more interest to the cases. Definitely. There's a big interest in cold cases and historic murders nowadays. So, yeah. Hopefully more people will be interested in the story of John.
Hopefully, yeah. I'm just going to do...
So we've just had somebody pop up trying to, some scammer.
Some scammer. Please
get rid of him.
Let me just delete it, because it's just...
See if anyone wants a loan. No, we're all right. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, you don't want to be taking financial advice from someone on a Facebook chat, but...
Well, it didn't even have a proper sort of English-sounding name, so... Karen said, Kate is also part of a pilot episode of Somerset Supernatural. You're getting the plugs in tonight, Karen.
She really is.
Blimey.
Yes. We also did some, as I like to call it, ghost bothering relatively recently, and it was my job to go around Shepton Mallet.
Yeah.
Which I presume you both know.
Yeah,
know quite well.
Never been, but was it good?
Yeah, it was very good. Freezing.
Yeah.
I think it's a fascinating place with an excellent gift shop.
Right.
And it was quite active when we were there. It's a very unusual place, but I really do think in the paranormal world we should make more of an effort to investigate places with full central heating. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of wearing thermals all the time.
Totally agree with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least those little heat up mittens that you can just click and be quite
Yeah.
content for the evening.
But doesn't that show how sort of, I suppose, crackpot we all are to actually go? We go to these places in the middle of the night when it's absolutely freezing cold, and we sort of run around all night, sort of just trying to find ghosts. And then we say, what a fantastic night we've had. We're all freezing. We're all...
Yeah. It's a very sadistic hobby, isn't it, really?
I've never quite understood why do people go out at between 9 and 2 o'clock in the morning. It's way past my bedtime.
Yeah. It's well, it's your one opportunity, isn't it? You've got to neck the Red Bull if you want to go, ghost bothering after hours. Get yourself so wired on caffeine that you're not sure if it was a ghost or if it was just a tremor setting in, and then have a nice time with your mates, try and safely drive home, and hope for the best.
Yeah.
So I'm not really selling it, am I? But it is enjoyable.
Karen says that's why I wear a fat suit. I'm a size 10 reality. Michelle must have went with you. I never got. Well, she went to Shepton Mallet. I never got any sleep and still said I'd do it all again.
Yeah. It is. Shepton Mallet is fantastic. It really is. I think because it's so massive and sprawling, and it's such an unusual place as well. Even if you're not that way inclined to be all sort of, is there anybody there? Just being in such a sort of charged historic space where there was so many intense feelings and energies, it's a good experience, I think. And if you're a big fan of Paddington as well, I think the recent Paddington film was filmed there, so there really is something for everyone.
Oh, I did not know that. I must admit, I've not seen the recent Paddington film.
So I'm full of useless facts. I really am.
I'm going to quote that one now. I'm going to use it. So, Kate, why are you coming back to ParaMeet?
Well, I love ParaMeet. I think it's the most inclusive.
Right answer.
Yeah. I think it's the most inclusive, lovely gathering in the paranormal scene in the UK. I think it's absolutely fabulous, and it's a good time for not only to catch, well, so many of us, because we live half of our lives online and the rest of it in darkness up in an old prison, that it's nice to meet your friends and meet people that you never get to meet, really, because they're in different areas, in one set place, in a really relaxed environment, and sort of make new bonds, over a nice, healthy glass of wine or something else. It's a lovely environment. And also for those of us that are desperately in love with PowerPoint presentations, it's a perfect opportunity to go, I'm sorry, you're a trapped audience. Let me tell you about my favourite ghosts of the 19th century. So I think there's something for everyone, and I wouldn't miss it. I think it's fantastic.
No, you were missed at ParaMeet South, I must admit.
Oh, I felt it was the most horrific feeling of missing out at ParaMeet South. Looking at everyone's holiday, it was like their holiday photos.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're having a nice time.
Lorian says, Kate, those glasses look lush on you.
Thank you very much, Lorian. They're a bit Deirdre Barlow, aren't they? But I'm trying to carry it off.
Corinne says ParaMeet is the place to be. Such a friendly and interesting weekend. Yeah.
It is. There's such variety, isn't there? There's so many different walks of life.
Yeah.
That are all involved, and there's always something going on.
It's slightly different this time, ParaMeet Midlands, because the speakers are in the big room where a lot of the vendors are as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
very exciting.
One of the comments I got for the last 2 years is the vendors couldn't see the speakers, so they felt like they missed out, even though they were taking all the money off the guests.
Yeah, they can't complain. No, I reject this new setup, Neil. I demand you put new barriers up.
So it's a much bigger room this year, and yes, the PowerPoint presentation will be allowed.
Good.
Mine's PowerPoint.
And mine is not that I'm doing it all. So I've been playing around with it. So.
Oh, good. See, that would be a decider for me. It's like if there's no PowerPoint, then my interest dwindles a little bit. Okay. I do like a good PowerPoint.
Okay, and you will have a PA system.
Fabulous.
So you can shout down the microphone to everybody.
I love amplification. That's wonderful. Yeah, it's nice, nice not having to blow your voice out on day one, shouting to people at the back of the room about the undead. Yeah, that's always a relief.
Lorianne says, ParaMeet is my event of the year. I literally have nothing else to look forward to, and I wouldn't have it any other way. There's some
I'm
nice.
sure there are plenty of other things as well.
I'm sure there is. But you're doing quite a few talks now, aren't you? You're getting very popular.
Well, I'm keeping very busy. I think because I've got so many personal and academic interests. I'm quite fortunate in that I'm able to explore a lot of those in different facets.
Yeah.
So I'm still able to do my my more academic, very dry work that really isn't the PowerPoints aren't as fun. There are a lot more footnotes and far fewer little cartoons.
Yeah.
But I'm still able to do that, and then I'm able to travel around talking to people mainly about miserable Victorians and well, really what those mucky Victorians were up to when they really should have been bettering themselves and wearing fabulous dresses. But yeah, I get to see all over the country recently, which is really nice.
You're very lucky there. Yeah. Are you having the time of your life now? Just now, because you've been on TV, you've been with Jack Osborne, and you're doing all these talks. Do you think, I've got to grasp it with both hands now? Next year, you might not get all these opportunities. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think whatever interest I'm focused on, whatever field I'm in, I'm a great. It's probably to a fault, really. But whenever an interesting opportunity comes up, I'll always grasp it. Mainly because I'm interested in it, but I don't want anything to slip by. So I'm doing talks for all manner of bodies and businesses and different projects all over the place at the minute, because it interests me. But also I think if no one wanted to ever hear my voice ever again, that would be fine, and I'd be just as content writing in my office for the rest of my life. So I'm quite content whatever life throws at me. I mean, I am shattered. I am really tired. So a holiday would be nice somewhere. But in the meantime, I'm quite happy.
You say you're shattered, but you are coming to the GPN Awards as well, aren't you?
Absolutely. Do you think I would miss an opportunity to wear an obnoxiously 80s ball gown? It's a wholly inappropriate event.
Well, this is it. We've had a lot of people who have been saying to us, what do I wear? What do I wear? Because most paranormal investigators are usually there in sort of like their boots, their jeans, their hoodies with a torch, aren't they? It's not the sort of, you don't really see people in the paranormal dressed up, do you? But we're all really looking forward to it, so it's going to be really nice.
Yeah, no, you're right. It'll be lovely to see paranormal investigators when it's not a sea of team branded fleeces and
we probably won't recognise all people.
I'm just looking forward to seeing Paul Stevenson in a dinner suit.
Yes, I'm sure he'll look very suave.
I think that'll be the highlight of my life.
Yeah, you got your dinner suit.
What?
Got your dinner suit.
To be honest, I've got to go out and buy some trousers because I don't own a pair of normal trousers.
You might look lovely in a ball gown. You never know. This might be the year to try it out.
I might shock you. No, I won't.
Put your best frock.
I do have a pair of shoes only because I had to buy some shoes for my daughter's wedding. That's the only reason that I've got proper shoes. I'm so uncouth. Corinne says, I have a foghorn voice.
It carries.
You said it, Corinne. That's all I'm saying on that one. Kev says, I'm going in my boots, jeans and hoodie and my torch.
That's awful, Kev. I'm appalled with that suggestion. At the very least, make a tiny little dinner suit for your torch, so at least one part of you is involved.
So he can sit on the table and at least he'll be dressed properly.
Exactly, yeah. And we'll all think you will have lost it a bit, but it'll look fabulous.
I don't think people realise what a posh do this awards is going to be. We've those who are going have all seen the menu now, and it's posh food to me.
Yeah, it's not a packet of Quavers and a can of Lilt, is it? It's proper food.
It's posh food.
Yeah, and I mean, we're sort of treating this as like the Oscars of the paranormal, and we're really excited. We are really excited for it. And, but I have just had a thought.
Oh gosh.
No, this talking still about Kev's torch.
I don't know where she's going with this one now.
No. It's clean. It's all right. If we're sort of thinking that might be slightly weird, bringing that to how weird would somebody in the paranormal have to be before other people in the paranormal thought it was weird?
That's a good point, actually. You've got to be really bad.
You have really got to be out there, haven't you? Because we're all a bit weird, aren't we? We all do a bit weird things. And how weird would you have to be before people in the paranormal thought, hey, up, that's a bit weird.
I haven't seen anyone be cut out for being weird, so I don't know. Maybe you'd have to be like trying to eat the lagging from your boiler insulation and saying that you're the second coming of Derek Akora. I don't know. There's going to be some line, isn't there? But we haven't reached it yet.
I don't think we've reached it yet.
Well, perhaps in 2 weeks we will reach it. Someone will reach it.
Yes.
ParaMeet
Midlands. Yeah, Kev, we're throwing down the gauntlet.
Shall we set the challenge? Oh God, what am we doing now? Right. Lorianne said, "Did Jane just say put your dad's frock on?"
No.
I hope not.
I don't think I did. I think I said you're going to put your best frock on. Best frock, I think.
All right. Vicky is. We're not jealous at all. Vicky, she says hi from Orlando.
Oh, she's still there. She was there last week, wasn't
she?
Yeah. Oh, I hope you're having a lovely time, Vicky.
Not jealous at all. So if you got any questions for Kate, put them in the comments and we'll ask her. You got anything to say? Ask Kate.
I'd love to ask Kate actually what it was like working with Jack Osborne.
Oh right.
You did go to some really good locations, didn't you? I did watch them. So you did go to some really good locations and stuff. So what was it like working with him?
It was lovely. It was really lovely. It wasn't imposing at all. I think when because that was my first proper show. I've done Unexplained caught on camera since, but with that one, it was I think I dropped on very lucky. I had a really lovely production company and a production team around me, and then working with Jack and the whole sort of Osborne group, because his producer Hannah came over. Everyone was just so lovely and normal, but also passionate about what they were doing. Everyone who was in, from Jack to the producers to the cameramen to the directors, they were really passionate about what they were making. Nothing was just, oh, let's just get this finished and we can go to the pub. Everything was meticulously planned out, apart from obviously the activity, but all the shots and the direction and the lighting. And so it just became like we were all just a little team working on a project. And Jack was lovely, a really lovely bloke, really normal family bloke. And so it just became like making a show with a mate.
That's
and
good.
So we did all the places were related to Jack growing up. So we obviously did the Osborne house, we did Missenden Abbey, we did the Old Swan Theatre, and we did the pub, which name has completely slipped my mind. Anyway, it was a pub that he and Ozzy used to go for dinners in quite often, and they're all great venues, really interesting. Really, really interesting venues, completely different angles and feelings about all of them. But it was great to go in and do it properly and know that we were both being authentic and nothing was going to be forced for the sake of a quick shot. If nothing happened, nothing happened, and if it did, we'd do our best to capture it. And I think knowing that you're producing something with that common thread of authenticity throughout was a great drive for both of us, definitely.
I think one of the things I liked was because when you say about the venues, the locations, because they were sort of completely different, weren't they? It wasn't the usual, sort of the usual prison or the usual asylum or the famous places that we know of, because they were sort of unusual places that we hadn't really that aren't necessarily on the map. It was just so refreshing, I think, to see completely new places or places that sort of linked to Jack that you were investigating. So I think that was a really good part of it.
Yeah, it was quite nice really to obviously have free reign of the places, but also just be able to see somewhere a bit somewhere that you'd see as quite mundane, but with very different with different goggles on.
Yeah.
You know, to be in a theatre and think, oh well, actually there have been all these sightings that we're sat here hearing about, so let's see them, and if we don't hear anything, at least we're approaching it in a slightly different way with either very traditional methods or with more tech than you can shake a stick at, because we had tables and tables of stuff. It was all just pulled together.
Really?
So yeah, for the tech heads, that would have been a dream, definitely.
Yeah. It's nice to hear that Jack's just a sort of a normal, regular guy.
Yeah, he really is. No airs and graces or anything.
But then
Really,
he's been brought up by Ozzy, hasn't he?
yes.
He's brought up by Ozzy. You're not going to have airs and graces, are you?
He's from Birmingham, isn't he? Is he out of Birmingham?
He's
so he's a down-to-earth sort of lad, isn't he?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. It was a lot, and I'm so glad that people enjoyed it, because it's something I'm very proud of. And people, I think it came out last year, and people are still coming up to me saying, really enjoyed that. I've watched it multiple times, so that's always lovely. That's really nice.
That's brilliant. Okay, Corinne says, my 96-year-old mother is really an alien. Nothing kills her off. Any demons that can help? ? I will pay them a £5. She's always on about her mum.
Yes, yeah, no demons to hand. I hold very little sway with the bribery of demons, but good luck.
I bet she's a really nice lady, Corinne's mum.
Yeah, well, certainly hardy by the sound of things.
96, she ain't doing bad, is she? Blimey. Vicky says, you won't be jealous. It's thunder and raining today. 30 degrees, though. Well,
yeah, still a little bit jealous. I think we've had thunder and raining here, but it's only about 6 degrees, so I'll still swap you.
It feels like it could be October, couldn't it?
Yeah.
I know. It's great.
But it's going to be nice at ParaMeet Midlands.
Yeah.
The sun always shines at ParaMeet.
Well, touch wood for that. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it will. I've got faith, confidence.
Good.
So it's going to be a fantastic weekend, obviously. We are going to keep it the same relaxed atmosphere, friendly, because that's just the way we do things anyway. There's nothing regimental when we do stuff.
Yeah, it's far nicer that way, isn't it? And it's more conducive to chatting and meeting new people, I think, as well, when you're all just relaxed together. It's like one big spooky mixer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be good fun. So, of course, you came to our first one, didn't you?
I did.
At Bosworth Hall.
Yes.
So was that the first time you met lots of these people?
Yeah. The first time I met loads of people when they weren't just little icons on a screen was at the ParaMeet. So it was a little bit daunting, thinking, when you're used to seeing someone's little avatar, and then suddenly they're flesh and blood with a pint in each hand in front of you. You sort of think, oh God, no, you are a real person. Isn't this a turn up for the books?
Yeah.
So it was lovely. And I met at the first time at the ParaMeet, I made so many friends that I now see regularly. I've done investigations with, I've worked with. So it's great. There just seems to be this roll on all the time of, I sort of know you. Let's know each other a bit better. And every year there's more and more people until you feel like not quite that you're going to Butlins, but certainly that there's a big community waiting for you when you get there. But I've enjoyed all the ParaMeets.
All right, go on.
Oh, I'm just going to say that's really nice to hear, isn't it? Because that's the concept really behind the ParaMeet. Bringing people together, making new friends, joining up with old friends, sharing information about tech, and locations and all that sort of stuff, and venues and sharing tips and all that sort of thing. And it's just so nice to sort of get the feedback, because as each ParaMeet's rolled on and it's got bigger and bigger, the feedback that we get is that people are just making more and more friends, and they're enjoying it more and more, and that's just that sort of inspires us really to sort of keep going.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'd be so gutted if you'd said, "Oh, I just can't be bothered this year." I'd be so upset because it is so lovely.
But I have said that every year. You do know this, don't you?
Well, I know the feeling. I run a ball down in Bristol.
Yeah.
That happens every October, and every year just before I go, oh, this is the last one. This is the last one. I can't be doing this anymore. And then afterwards you go, oh, maybe next year will be the last one. And it just keeps going and going and going.
Up until the others, I've always said no, I'm not doing it anymore because it does take a lot to organise. It really does. You know, people come on the Saturday and the Sunday, and hopefully, touch wood, it's going to be nice and smoothly ran and no hiccups that people see. Obviously, we do get hiccups, like last year at Browsover Hall, the power going off and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
The proper faulty towers that was, wasn't it?
It was a bit. It was a bit.
But it does take a lot of organising. I must admit, but we do it. And every year I've said I'm not doing another one. But last year on the Sunday morning, well, I went home Saturday night, and I thought, well, how about doing 3 next year? This year. So these guys didn't know until Sunday morning that I decided to do 3 this year.
Because we thought you were going to say this is the last one, because you've been saying that, haven't you? I'm not doing another one. This is the last one. And then we were quite surprised for you to say, well, actually, we're doing 3 next year.
Sucker for punishment.
Yeah, and they just say yes. So I think you're a lot more weird than me. I just come up with the ideas, and you say yes.
We're just like lemmings going over the cliff.
Okay. Corinne says, so looking forward to booking with Paul, but Lauren said Paul sold out. Paul Goddard does past life regression, and yeah, I think Paul's sold out, Corinne. But have a word with him. Perhaps he can book you in another time. Vicky says, made so many new paranormal friends because of the ParaMeet. Best convention ever. So
Cool.
It's going to be fantastic. And then Karen says, bugger. Paul does sell out really quick with his past life regressions.
Yeah, it's all right. If Paul can't fit you in, I'll have a bash.
Yeah.
How hard can it be? I'll have a go.
They are. You've heard it live here.
Yeah. I'm tapping into all my new skills. It'll be fine.
No one knew until tonight that Kate does past life regression.
Yeah, not even Kate. Even she didn't know. But now I'm on it. I'm going to align my abilities.
So are you? Do you have any mediumistic or skills in that sort of way, or?
I don't think I really do. I'd say at the very most I'm sensitive. I think I get a feeling for certain places and certain people and energies, but I think that I only ever feel that way when I'm in the zone. So if I'm going to an investigation and I'm in a space, I can say I feel like a male energy is here. And then when I'm out of that location the next morning, I'll go, no, I probably didn't. I'll dismiss it. So that's kind of the extent of my my psychic abilities. I'd love to be psychic, but I'd be an absolute terror if I was. So it's probably a relief for everyone that I'm quite restricted.
Do you find that you have perhaps a bit of a conflict, like sort of within yourself, regard sort of your academic side against sort of your natural sort of openness, if you like? Do you have that sort of conflict where your academic bit saying no, that can't possibly be right because it's not sort of and but your other side is sort of saying, well, yeah, but I felt it and I seen it and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think probably I'd have far more of a strong conflict if I was working in a sciencey or a psychological sort of field. But because my background is literature and history, they're the things that I've got what I call daft degrees in. I think most of the time they work in tandem. So if I'm looking into something historical or something deep within some archives, and it's a lived experience of a medium, a spiritualist, someone who was reporting some kind of psi phenomenon, then I can almost sort of separate what I'm reading and what I'm studying from what I would then go and do in someone's cellar at 2 a.m, which sounds far dodgier than I anticipated, but you know what I mean. So, but sometimes when I'm trying to write stuff up and I'm trying to verbally convey my experiences within a place, there is a little bit of, but you just read this thing the other day and you know this person wasn't being entirely honest or entirely legitimate about what they experienced 200 years ago. So maybe you should try and apply that to your own feelings and your own experiences now. So I think the two can live and work in tandem. And certainly paranormal history is its own big umbrella and is really, really important. It's something I'm very, very passionate about. But I think there can be healthy skepticism in both fields. But yeah, I'm very rarely all in, and I'm very rarely 100% aggressively skeptical. So I think more, I'm kind of a happy medium. I'm sort of flowing about in the little grey area in the middle, taking notes, but being relatively open about things.
So what's the best paranormal experience you've ever had?
Best as in most impressive, or best as in most positive?
Most impressive.
Oh goodness, most well, it's always the most impressive ones, like the biggest ones are the ones that happen before you're a paranormal investigator, the thing that spurs you on to be a paranormal investigator. Yeah. So I suppose then the most impressive paranormal supernatural experience I had was when I was it's what I spoke about in my last ParaMeet talk, actually, was when I was staying at my sister's old house in glamorous Grimsby, which is where I'm from. And I, for a couple of years, me, my sister, and my family experienced these, what we now regard to be quite an extreme poltergeist haunting. So we would have, it started off with seeing lights, and we'd see these huge sort of 3-4 foot high slashes of light moving up and down the stairs and doing this route around the house. And then things escalated to smells, sounds, bangings, and then eventually we ended up slowly seeing this full outline of a very dark figure, a bit like a black shadow shape, but staticky. It was quite odd. But we kept seeing this man, this fully formed man eventually, who was in a suit in the house, and we'd see him in the bedrooms, and we'd see him in the bathroom, and he would stomp around the house at all hours, and we'd hear him. And eventually things got so severe that I stopped staying there, and my sister moved the mattress downstairs because everything got so bad upstairs, and moved house. So I suppose those would be the most extreme experiences, because they were constant. They were all hours of the day, so it wasn't just, oh, you're overtired at night. Everyone experienced them. People who worked in medical fields, people who worked in gas and electric, so it kind of rules out those old chestnuts. And yeah, it happened for, I think it was about 3 years in total. So those were the most extreme experiences that I kind of, that fed a lot of my my interest and my questions in the paranormal. But I'm not sure if it's unfortunately or fortunately, I haven't experienced anything as extreme as that since, even when I've been actively looking. And I think that's a positive, because they were really quite horrible. And I'd rather find and chat with someone a bit more personable on the other side. So like an old granny who's in heaven enjoying some shortbread biscuits or something, that's far more the angle I'm looking at supernaturally now. Certainly not going to be one of these people that goes delving for demons or, goblins in the afterlife. But more power to them.
Do you find though that the paranormal teams tend to focus on the more negative side? Do you think that is that because it's more dramatic?
Yeah. I think there's been a real sort of change of tack probably in the last 10 years, and I think maybe that's. See, it's easy to say it's because of an American influence, because of a lot of the big American paranormal shows are always very dramatic, and we're Brenda's house, and she's got an army of the undead in her attic. And you think, oh, does she now? But I think it is dramatic, and if people wanted to put themselves in a film of their lives, they don't really want it to be an easygoing indie film. They want it to be a big blockbuster dramatic action movie. And so introducing demons and negative energies, negative spirits into your investigation, especially if you're live streaming it, filming it, capturing it in some capacity, it elevates your experience. It makes everything hyper dramatic, as though if something went wrong, there could be real world consequences. It's not as simple as getting an EVP and wondering what it says. This is, we're messing with these powers that are so ancient, they predate the Bible. And, these people saying this, whoever aren't the most theologically minded, but are certainly keen to be. I think people like drama. I mean, I do. I'm a nosy beggar. I love drama. But, if people want to introduce it into their teams, I think you get to a point where you're just trying to one-up yourself. Like every week, every time you go on an investigation, once you've got, Satan chatting through your latest app on your phone, where can you go? So I'd be very wary of the way those things are going, and ultimately what those people want to gain from an investigation, because maybe paring things back a bit and being a little bit cheerier would bring about a more involved and a more fulfilling paranormal experience.
I think if you were more like that, the general public would be more acceptable to the paranormal field.
Yeah, I think it's like baby steps, isn't it? You can introduce someone into paranormal investigation by just saying, let's have a cup of tea and have a look at this Ouija board. It's sort of like, when you introduce a lobster into a pot of boiling water, they just sort of slowly immerse and don't realize that they are. Well, that's a bad example because they die. But I think it's a good idea to just try and see the positives in the paranormal and the positives in teams, because if you're going to try and introduce the field to someone by saying, oh, our Dave's chatting to Beelzebub and Azrael in the backseat of his Mazda, you're not really going to get that many people who go, that sounds brilliant, let me have a go. They're going to think, okay, good luck, don't bring him around my house. So I think the positives in the paranormal do have a far wider reach, and I think you've got to be, personally, I think if you're going to start talking about demons and negative things with authority, you've got to have really strong grasp of ethics behind you, like what you're saying and who you're saying it to. I think there's a big question mark over that. But also, you've got to have a good solid knowledge background. So whether that's, like I say, theological or historical, ancient history background, you've got to have something to back it up. You can't just get a book off Amazon and do a quick Google search and suddenly you're a demonologist. I think that no knowledge is ever wasted, and I would encourage anyone to kind of further their studies to enhance and to protect their paranormal experiences and the what they get from them as well. More knowledge can bring you a far more exciting and a far more fulfilling paranormal experience.
That's good. You mentioned Ouija boards. Do you use Ouija boards?
I do on investigations. I've got a Ouija board cheese board, and I've got Ouija boards kicking about all over the house as just decorative objects. So I'm not. I like them as objet d'art. I like them as parlor tricks. And I certainly like the ones that came out a few years ago from Poundland, where suddenly everyone thought that the portal to hell was going to open up on their dinner table. So that I just found hilarious. But I think Ouija boards they can be a tool. They can be a tool for investigation, but I think definitely take them with a pinch of salt and see what sort of barriers you can put in place to control the environment and the influences on the board. So we all know about subconscious movements and idiomotor effects and things like that. So I think you've always got to take those into account
Yeah.
So my concerns with Ouija boards would more be the legitimacy of the evidence that you're gaining from them. My concern would not be, don't mess with the boards, you're going to get nastiness come into your house. I'm not of that.
Yeah.
I'm not in that river. I'm not in that flow. I'm more in the flow of just maybe try and make this a more interesting, controlled environment, and after pop it on your wall. Isn't it pretty?
Yeah.
You know, so I think the history of the Ouija board and the history of parlor tricks and early ghost hunting, early spiritualist equipment is very interesting, but everything with a pinch of salt, and not in a circle to defend you from the demons, just general pinch of salt.
So, of course, you are a writer for Haunted Magazine as well, aren't you?
Yes, yeah, they can't get rid of me. I'm always submitting something.
So, how are you enjoying that?
Fun, yeah. I think it's a great privilege to be one of the sort of constant faces in Haunted, and it's nice to have an outlet to be able to scratch that paranormal itch, definitely, and especially because the last issue, I think Paul and Andy were very, very generous in letting me put in, it was about 2,000 words on a man who hid his ectoplasm where the sun doesn't shine. And I got to pass that off as a legitimate printed piece of work. So I think I'll always be rather grateful for that. And I think
where else could you do that?
Exactly. You know, I've tried academically, but they always ask questions. But
So how do you like working with Paul, especially? I know Andy's always going to be a pleasure to work with. Paul is as well, but how do you like working with Paul?
Yeah, I think they're both lovely. I think the Haunted team and all the writers I know as well who also contribute, they're a really, really lovely bunch. And I think Paul's got a good grasp of different angles. So what different voices and what different experiences would make up a really good edition. I think that in itself is quite a tricky skill to have, because you'll always have your own objective and your own very biased view. And I think he's managed to be quite objective, quite clear with, okay, well, this would cover all bases. So while someone might not want to, I don't know why they wouldn't, but someone might not want to read my ramblings about ectoplasm and nefarious activities at the turn of the century, they might want to read like some fiction work, or they might want to read some personal experiences. And so I think much like the ParaMeet, there's something for everyone. And I think there's a place for everyone. But I think it shows there's a lot of there's a place for inclusivity, definitely. So everyone's coming from a different angle, and everyone's got their own story to tell. And I think it shows that they're all valid as well.
Okay. Yeah. Did you hear about the paranormal quiz at ParaMeet South?
No, do tell. I do love a quiz.
Well, Jane came up with these quiz questions. And one of the questions was, what's the name of the magazine that Paul Stevenson and Andy Saw work on? Mm-hmm. Paul got it wrong.
What did he?
Because it's Haunted Magazine, and Paul only put Haunted, and she wouldn't let him have the point.
Really?
Well, it says on the front of the magazine, Haunted Magazine. So that was what we started with. But he wasn't the only one who got something wrong, was he, Neil?
I wasn't going to bring that one up.
on one of the sort of sections of the quiz, there was anagrams of locations that people had. There were just 10 anagrams, and people worked through. I mean, Vicky, her team, Haunted Happenings, they went through them really quickly, didn't they? They got most of them right. But somebody actually got the Paranormal Research Centre wrong, didn't they, Neil?
Yeah. this one. I couldn't work any of them out, but this one had loads of letters. So I said to my team, that's got to be hers. And Julie, my wife, kept saying, but there's no Q in it. I said, no, Julie, it's hers. So I put Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre.
Yeah.
Got it wrong.
It was Paranormal Research Centre, because I couldn't get Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre because it was going off the page.
So
I think it's understandable. I mean, I'm terrible at anagrams as it is, so I'm terribly sorry for your brief humiliation in the face of quizzing.
I would have been more miffed if we'd lost by 1 point, but we didn't. We lost by. We did finish second, though, didn't we?
I can't remember.
We did. We were second or third.
But due to popular demand, the Para quiz is coming back Friday night at ParaMeet. So anybody
brilliant.
Tell if you want to.
So will you be there? Will you be there on the Friday night, or are you coming down?
I will be there, and I will be slowly disappearing if there are anagrams, because I am impressively incompetent when it comes to anagrams. But I will be there. I'll be there with my pen.
Okay. Wild Bill says Jane would be right for doing that. The name is Haunted Magazine. Lorien says I'll be too drunk for that.
You can still be on my team, Lorien. You can. Maybe you can channel something when you're in that state.
Even better. Drunken answers will be just as funny. Probably even more funny. So yeah, so the paranormal quiz will return on the Friday night at the Midlands. So
yeah, so get your thinking caps on.
And what you got to think of, Kate, is Jane is writing the questions. So they're going to be some weird and wonderful questions coming out.
Okay.
Related.
I'll do some revision beforehand, like I'm going on university challenge.
I mean, we did put it out there if people wanted it a bit easier, because some of the questions were quite hard, but it seems to have come back that people want it just the same. So
it was that bad. If we had the same questions again, we'd still get them wrong. Lorien says, I'm the best at anagram when drunk.
Well,
that's her team name.
For no reason then. We'll just get you leathered and then give you a pen, and I'm sure just wonderment will come out.
At the front, you'll be all right, Lorien.
Then Lorien says, "What's the Newsham anagram again?"
Oh,
I can't remember.
What's it? Wanker, wasn't it?
Shampwanker.
Oh, God. Oh, you didn't mention they were genius anagrams. I'm doubly impressed now.
Yeah, Newsham Park was Shampwanker.
Vicky can remember a lot of Shampwanker.
I bet you were so pleased with yourself when you got that. It's like, right, I'm taking the night off. That's me done.
Stop laughing when I was doing it. It just made me laugh. But,
so there you go, Kate. That's the sort of thing you're going to be up against.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to it all the more now. Yeah.
It is a good laugh, I must admit. So, any questions for Kate? We're nearly finished.
Do you have any books in the pipeline? Are you likely to be writing any books soon, or is that something that's sort of on the back burner, or No,
it's something that's very active. I can't give you any dates yet. I can't make any like shiny big official announcement, but I have something contracted and something that's coming out later this year. I'm still waiting for the final date, so that's very exciting. And then I'm working on a couple of non-fiction at the minute, which are fun to work on, but take 6 times as long as anything else. But I've been focusing on my writing a lot more. I write for various outlets, just generally. So I've got a couple of things out in like W.H. Smith's. I've got a UFO bookazine that I helped to create, and I've got my works also in Traveller's Guide to Urban Legends at the minute. So that's quite fun. I do quite a bit of work with those people, and longer form is coming. So I'm really excited about that. When I can finally announce it, I will be unbearable. But until then, it's like I've finished something and it is coming out at some point, and then hopefully when I've finished the manuscripts on the non-fiction, they'll be out in good time, hopefully. And then I've got some academic stuff coming out later next year. But if anyone would be interested in really, really dry academic papers about 19th century spiritualism, then I'll be your gal next year.
I would, yeah.
Oh well, brilliant. Well, at least I've got one reader then. But that's I've got a couple of things coming out with Palgrave next year.
Fantastic.
Very interesting. So any more TV work in the pipeline, or is it hush hush?
Nothing. There's always options kicking about. but nothing I can say concrete yet.
Okay.
So
That's
yeah,
good.
it's all words for the time being. It's all my literature and all my podcasts. So it's
Okay.
yeah.
See, you've got another reader. Kev says he'd be interested in reading in your intellectual stuff. Academic
Thank
stuff.
you. Yeah, thank you very much, Kev. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you got two readers.
Brilliant.
That's good.
Yeah.
Any final things you want to say, Kate? Because we're going to finish in a minute.
Yes, well, I suppose at the minute you can find my public blog, which is excellent for if you want to waste 5 minutes reading something spooky, something gloomy, at burialsandbeyond.com. And you can have a laugh every week with my podcast, the Loopholes Podcast, which is pretty much everywhere, wherever you harvest your podcasts. And that's something I do with the very funny and very, very clever Ian Boldsworth. And we're on series 2 at the minute, and we have fabulous guests every week. We just had Kate Ray last week, who is the I see her as the go-to authority on all things Fae and Nomi, and we just have a right laugh. It's a lot of fun. It's it's very focused. It's I wouldn't say it's intellectual, but it's yes, it's based in a lot of research and a lot of truth, and we have a lot of fun with it. So I think a lot of people would enjoy that. So go listen to Loopholes.
Yeah.
And you'll be seeing Kate Ray at ParaMeet.
Yes, I will be.
Kate's another speaker. We spoke to Kate last Tuesday.
Yes.
Did we?
Yes.
And she came up here Saturday night. So
Yes.
I've seen loads of her.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
And
we had Kev on as well, actually. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Lorian said, "Count me out. I'm no intellect."
Oh no, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. I will force you to read it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to sit beside you. Well, make sure you read every word.
Yeah.
When you're drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might make even more sense then. Yeah.
So Lorian, before we go, have you got a 4-poster bed in your room again? Because I don't know if Lorian always seems to get the 4-poster bed in the bedroom, no matter where she goes at ParaMeet.
It's a skill.
Princess, she is.
Yeah, you know, the last time, the one and only time I did this wonderful talk down south for a wine company, and they put me up in this fabulous hotel. It was beautiful, and I had a full 4-poster bed. I thought, spectacular. I'm having my moment in my 4-poster.
Yeah.
Honestly, you had to nearly vault to get onto it. It was so high. I spent half the night terrified that one wrong move, I'd be on the floor with a broken neck. So the whole sort of, oh, I'm a beautiful princess image never really got hold. So I feel cheated. Might have to bunk up with Lorian if she gets a 4-poster again to get the full experience.
Kev says the 4-poster princess. And Lorian says, no, I don't. I don't think they have any, but I have 2 king-size beds in my room.
Living the dream.
Ooh.
So
I'll pop over with some poster tubes.
We're all partying in your bedroom that night then. Yeah. So anyway, well, time's up. It's been great talking to you again, Kate. I'm so pleased that you're coming to ParaMeet Midlands.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it.
We did miss you down south.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, thank you. I did miss it terribly.
A lot of people have said they missed you. It was quite. We've said this too, because with ParaMeet we have the core of speakers that we invite every year, like yourself, like Kate Ray, Paul Goddard. We'd always invite, and Penny, that sort of thing. But we didn't have you at the south or Kate Ray. It was.
Oh no, you're Kateless.
Kateless.
Oh.
And we didn't have Andy Saw either.
Yeah, we missed it.
It just wasn't like ParaMeet down south,
it was like members of the family being missing, wasn't it?
Oh, well, that's lovely. And then you'll see me at this one and go, thank God. Oh God, she's awful. Should never invite her again.
Lorian says, we totally missed you, Kate, and you're on our table for dinner.
Excellent.
Yes, yeah. And you've got to choose your menu yet, haven't you?
I know. I've looked at it, and I will message you shortly afterwards.
Yes, and Lorian.
Yeah, and everybody on Paul's table.
Everybody on Paul's. I think no, Kev has. Kev's told
Yeah.
me what he's having. Everybody else on the Haunted Magazine's table needs to tell me what they want eating.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a packet of Walker's crisps.
We need to get the numbers in and the menu choices to the hotel. Anybody that's not doing it, unfortunately, you may just have to have what's left, or what the hotel give you if you don't give us your choices.
And also, because ParaMeet Midlands is in Inkley, I'm going to teach you all a bit of the Inkley lingo.
Oh, I look forward to that.
Yeah, you have not heard it yet.
You wait. I'll pick it up and I'll be incredibly offensive with my overuse of it afterwards. So tell me at your own risk.
So that'll be Saturday morning, opening the ParaMeet up. So I want everybody the rest of the weekend talking Inkleyan, if that's a word.
Yeah.
I want no H's pronounced at all.
I love the crisps.
Vicky says she wants the crisps. All right. Thanks for joining us tonight, Kate. We will see you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Look forward to it.
2 weeks Saturday.
Yeah.
So we'll see you all soon.
Yeah. So good night for now.
This is where it takes about 10 minutes to end, and we'll just sit there looking silly.
I just wave in the darkness.
I'll just say thank you to everybody else for joining us and all your comments.